Welcome to Stephen FM AI, Ireland's Daily Digest. Today, we're diving into a fascinating split personality at the heart of modern Ireland. On one hand, you've got this country with its eyes set firmly on the future, right? Aiming for a massive AI revolution. But on the other hand, it's grappling with some very real, very urgent problems, right here, right now. It's a story of high-tech dreams versus some pretty tough, lived realities.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a single massive number, 1 million. That's how many people the Irish government is planning to upskill in artificial intelligence. Yeah, a brand new online platform is launching, and the goal is to get the workforce totally ready for the digital frontier. That's a huge statement about where Ireland sees its future.
But why the big push? Why 1 million people? Well, here's your answer. Research is showing that about 3 in 10 Irish people are, just not comfortable with AI and digital skills yet. And that puts Ireland a little bit behind some of its neighbors like the Nordic countries. So this whole plan, it's not just some ambitious dream, it's a really crucial game of catch-up to compete on the world stage. All right, but while the country's cutting checks for its high-tech future, some pretty serious alarm bells are going off about its finances today. And this is where that whole paradox we talked about really starts to bite.
And wow, when you see the numbers, it really puts the scale of this into perspective. The Irish Fiscal Advisory Council has pointed out that government spending here is growing faster than in any other EU country. We're talking an average growth of 7.1% a year. That's nearly double the EU average of 3.9%. I mean, that is a staggering pace.
So you've got to be asking, how is that even possible? Well, this is kind of the ghost in the machine. See, officials are warning that a massive surge in corporation tax, mostly from big multinational companies, is disguising what would otherwise be a budget deficit of over 13 billion euro. So the key takeaway here is without that temporary tax money, the country would be deep in the red. It's a really high-stakes economic gamble. Okay, so we've got these huge, kind of abstract ideas, right? An AI revolution on one side, and a multi-billion euro economic risk on the other. But what does all of this actually mean on the ground? How does this tension between future dreams and present-day worries actually feel for the people living through it every day? So let's bring it right down to earth and start with one of the most basic things, just finding a place to live. A brand new all-island study on housing paints a picture of a nation under some serious pressure, especially when it comes to renting. Get this. In the Republic of Ireland, nearly 60%, 60, of people who rent say they do it out of pure necessity. They just flat out cannot afford to buy a home. Only about 10% are actually renting by choice. For the huge majority, renting isn't a lifestyle decision, it's a financial trap. And this just highlights how intense the problem is south of the border. In Northern Ireland, the number of people renting because they have to is just 25%. That is a massive difference. It really shows the unique pressure cooker environment that renters in the Republic are living in.
And here's what that pressure looks like in your bank account. First, rents have basically doubled in the last 10 years. Doubled. And second, the average tenant is now spending a staggering 37% of their take-home pay just to keep a roof over their head. That kind of financial strain, well, it has a huge knock-on effect on every single other aspect of your life.
All right, so from the pressure on household budgets, let's shift gears and talk about the pressure on our public institutions. A really high-profile court case that dragged on for 7 years has just wrapped up, and it's put a huge spotlight on the Irish justice system itself. At the very heart of this long, complicated 8-week trial was this one simple but very contentious phrase, policing with discretion. The entire case really hinged on where you draw the line between an officer using their judgment and actually breaking the law. So here's the lowdown. A retired superintendent and 4 serving Gardaí were accused of unlawfully getting rid of road traffic prosecutions for people they knew. After this incredibly long and expensive trial, the verdict finally came in. All 5 of them were acquitted of all the charges. But the verdict doesn't even begin to tell the whole story. The Garda Representative Association used some incredibly strong words to describe the 7-year investigation. They called it a witch hunt that had a devastating human cost, leaving the officers feeling like outcasts and lepers in their own communities. So it kind of makes you wonder, right? When the formal systems, whether it's housing or justice, seem to be under so much strain, what happens? Well, a lot of the time, individuals and whole communities are forced to step up and demand action for themselves. And that question, it really gets to the absolute heart of this final story we're looking at today.
It's a deeply personal story about tragedy, about community action, and about a mother's fight for safety on the streets of her own city.
This fight was born from an unimaginable loss. A 16-year-old girl named Grace Lynch tragically died after a crash that involved a scrambler bike in Finglas, Dublin. Her death just sent shockwaves through the whole community and really galvanized them into action.
So the problem is, as local representatives put it, you have riders on these scrambler bikes operating with impunity, hiding their faces, pulling dangerous stunts on main roads. Now, new laws were passed in 2023 that allow the Gardaí to seize these bikes, but a key tool to enforce that, using drones to track riders safely, is completely stalled because of legal delays. And in the middle of all of this, Grace's mother, Siobhan Lynch, has become the voice of a movement. She has vowed to fight in her daughter's name to get these dangerous vehicles off the streets, turning her own personal grief into a powerful public campaign for justice for Grace.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Ireland is looking to this amazing future of artificial intelligence and innovation. But at the exact same time, its people are dealing with a housing crisis, a justice system under the microscope, and really fundamental questions about public safety. So the final crucial question has to be this. As Ireland races to build its AI future, how can it make sure it builds a secure and stable present so that it doesn't leave its own people behind?
That really is the central challenge, isn't it? I'm curious, what do you think is the right balance between investing in tomorrow and fixing today? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you find these deep dives valuable, please don't forget to subscribe.
And that's the latest from Stephen FM Ireland's Daily Digest.